Sean, I know it's the initial 53-man roster is still fresh, but what are you guys looking at potentially with kicker with Tanner being part of the waive group of players?
Yeah, we have a couple, those have been things that we've kind of looked at. I'd like to keep some of the things specific to exactly which direction we're going in-house, just because it can't be official or anything like that right now. So you will certainly know as soon as some of those moves become official once we're able to do that. But we will carry a kicker going into Seattle on the 10th.
And just generally speaking, when you look at this initial 53-man roster, in what ways did special teams in particular affect the roster math that you guys did with assembling this group? If there was one position versus another, for example.
It always does, Stu. But I think that's one of the great things about Chase Blackburn and Jeremy Springer. They've got great flexibility and agility and ability to be able to develop the total roster. And I think their willingness to keep an open mind. There's certain guys that, we're still working through what exactly will that 48 look like. And in a lot of those decisions, especially as it relates to usually those 45th to 48 spots, when you're kind of weighing the decisions on in terms of who's up or who's not, that's where those guys' decisions heavily weigh on who ends up getting a jersey on game day. And so I wouldn't say that, the best part about this camp, Stu, is there's been more competition with the way we've been able to practice. You get 4 competitive settings, even though we take a very different approach than the majority of the league in the preseason. We still feel like we got a lot of really good evaluations that enabled us to be able to make decisions based on practice, based on those competitive settings against 2 of the other teams with the Raiders and with the Broncos. And so I'm really excited about this group. There's, it's never finalized. I think, as you know, and you kind of alluded to it with the beginning parts of your question, there'll be some things that might change over the next couple of days. Ultimately, that's geared towards us figuring out our most competitive 53. But I do feel really good about this group, and can't tell you how excited I am of getting to work and really focusing on building towards this season. And there's a lot of appreciation and gratitude too that I want to make sure that I mentioned towards the guys that were on the team, whether they're going to be asked to be back on the practice squad or they go elsewhere. It was a really enjoyable group over these last few months, and in a group that I think got really close and had a real appreciation for one another and all the work that they put in collectively.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jordan?
Hey, Sean, I actually have a few questions for you, if you don't mind.
No.
Will you put anybody on IR following today? I know O'Shawn's still dealing with that knee injury.
He will be the only one that will fall under that bucket.
And then as you kind of look at how the defensive line and the outside linebackers will shake out, particularly now that O'Shawn will be on that short-term IR, are those 2 positions still that you guys are continuing to assess and evaluate, especially as other teams make cuts and the waivers are sort of flooded right now?
Yeah, and I think that could be the case, Jordan, at any spot if we feel like it represents the possibility to be able to upgrade the competitiveness of our roster. I think when you look at the interior parts of our defensive line and the outside backers, starting with the outside backers, been really pleased with Michael Hoyt's ascension, being able to settle in at that spot. I've mentioned Joe Caniglio doing a great job developing that group. I think Byron Young has really taken strides over the last couple weeks to do an excellent job. Seen really good things from Nick Hampton. You look at a guy like Zach Van Volkenberg being able to earn a spot. That's been such a positive for us. And, I'm just really encouraged with that group as a whole. And those are things that we're looking forward to. But those will be things we'll monitor. The interior parts of the line, obviously, with Aaron. I think Bobby Brown and Jonah Williams have done a really good job. And I've been super encouraged with the development of Kobe Turner. I think Desjuan has done a really good job over the last couple of weeks. And then Larry Murchison picked up where he left off on Christmas Day against the Broncos last year. He's been really steady. And Ernest Brown is a guy that's had a chance to play towards the latter part of last year. And we're looking for him to continue to make strides. So that's where you see us keeping 5 outside backers, 7 interior defensive linemen. But it's really right now, it's really 4 outside backers once O'Shawn ends up reverting to IR.
And then with keeping 2 quarterbacks, obviously there's still things probably in the works in terms of your practice squad and everything. But with keeping 2 active roster quarterbacks, is that, are you guys going to change your approach to how you kind of run your scout team in that regard? Because Stetson will be learning that backup quarterback position specifically.
In terms of what you talking about, who takes the reps, or
Yeah,
just by that?
Because you guys, I mean, I would assume you need him to be assimilating into your actual offense. And then you also have to have somebody running the scout team for you. So how are you kind of looking at that entire picture right now?
The nice thing is you can kind of be able to do both, just because we don't necessarily have the numbers to be able to go kind of 2 drills at once. So I still think it's beneficial for whoever your backup is to be able to get those reps on the look team. And then every now and then you'll sprinkle them in. Now, when we end up 2 spot and walkthroughs, you need to end up having somebody else to do that. So when we actually get into the full practice settings, usually the backup takes the majority of the scout team reps, and then you'll sprinkle them in throughout practice. But that's why there's such a premium on doing a great job of becoming a pro's pro in the absence of all the physical repetitions that typically, that Matthew is going to get as the starter throughout the season. And that'll be a really important part of Zach Robinson's job, continuing to develop Stetson. And then, hopefully we'll be able to get, a good guy back on the practice squad with us. And we're always evaluating, kind of like what I mentioned, for the totality of competitiveness of our roster.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Dennis.
Hey, Coach McVay, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, Dennis?
I'm doing great. Can you talk about the competition in the secondary and how that played out?
Yeah, as far as just that corner and safety?
Yes.
We ended up deciding to keep 5 and 5. I think when you look at it with the corner spot, I've been super pleased with Kobe Durant's progression, being able to play inside and outside. Getting DK back off of injury has been a really positive thing over the last week. I think he did did a nice job against the Broncos in practices. He's got great concept trigger, good overall awareness, good competitiveness. I've been super pleased with Akello Witherspoon. He's been awesome. A guy that's played a lot of football, is continuing to buy into the things that we're trying to do. I love the competitiveness of Trey Tomlinson, guy that did a lot of great things at TCU. And I think you saw him, it was unfortunate what happened the other day with the Broncos game, but he's a super tough competitor. He's a pit bull. He's not afraid to be able to stick his face in there. And I really love the way that he's continued to mature and progress through the offseason program. And I think Sean Jolly's a guy that provides some inside and outside flex at the corner spot. So, really looking forward to seeing that group continue to progress. At safety, it's been great getting Jordan Fuller back. I think he's done an excellent job with the communication and the command that's required from the back end. Rush East is a second-year player that continues to just show his athleticism, his range, his flexibility as a player. I think Quentin Lake has had his best couple weeks as a Ram, being able to play, out of the box, being able to play in the box. He's got some position flex for us. We all know the love that I have for John Johnson, and I think he's starting to just get comfortable and get himself truly back into football shape where he'll be ready to go against the Seahawks. And then Jason Taylor's an intriguing young guy that we're excited to continue to see his progression. He's a tough physical player. Had a couple injuries that he's dealt with over the last couple weeks, but I thought he's really, continued to take steps in the right direction, and that ends up giving us 10 DBs that we feel like gives us a really good competitive group, and we hope to add some good ones to the practice squad as well.
Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Lasky.
Hey, Sean.
Hey, Bill, what the heck, man?
So is this the biggest challenge of your coaching career? I mean, how in the hell are you going to pull this off?
I guess you got to just watch. It's going to be a great challenge, but every single year is a challenge, Bill. I never really go into it looking at it other than that's why you get into the NFL to coach, is because you get an opportunity to work with special people, special coaches, to try to be able to help them reach and realize their highest potential. And I feel really good about the rapport that's been established with this group. Shoot, we know we've got great challenges, but that's why you get into the NFL. And so I'm looking forward to truly, and it's the old BS coaching cliche, Bill, but I do mean it in my heart of hearts that, hey, we're taking it a day at a time. We're enjoying the hell out of really committing to just getting better and having a growth mindset and figuring out, all right, if things don't go the way we want, how do we go back to work? Because the work works in terms of having that improvement show. I love working with this group because they want to be coached. They want to do right. I think we've got really good leaders that have really, modeled the way and shown them what it looks like. And then ultimately it's about us making it come to life when these games start to count. And we're looking forward to capitalizing on the rest of the week. They'll have a couple days off per the CBA this weekend, and then we're going to get into a great opportunity to go compete and open up at a beautiful venue in Seattle, and we'll see where the hell we're at. But I'm looking forward to going and shooting our shot. I know that much, Bill.
Are you concerned at all about Matthew Stafford's wife's comments on our podcast?
No, I'm not concerned, because I think if you know Kelly, I took that as more of a joke at the old man. And I'll be honest, there's a couple throws that he made during training camp where I wanted to say yes, sir, to him as well. So he's done a great job being able to, I mean, if you've watched and if you've come out to camp, this guy's done a phenomenal job of leading, connecting with his teammates. And that is, I think it's one of those deals that becomes a fun narrative in a dead period. And I know Kelly well enough to know that she was probably taking a good old rib at the old man as her husband's getting older playing. But this guy's done a phenomenal job, and I know how much he loves his teammates and how much they love him. That is the least of my concerns.
Last question. What should fans' reasonable expectations be for this team?
Watching us continue to improve and watching us go shoot our shot with a mental and physical toughness. And, you know, I've never been one, and you know, Bill, you saw me when I was 30 years old in 2017 saying, what the hell are these guys thinking? I've never been one to really worry about anything except for being where we are and trying to compete to the best of our ability. And I think that's going to show up with the way that you see this group continue to figure out how to handle adversity, how to handle some of the successes that they're able to achieve, and continue to see that improvement show. And I feel pretty confident that that's going to occur.
Thanks. I appreciate it, Coach. Good seeing you.
You got it, Bill.
Eric.
Hey, Coach. Thanks for taking our questions. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
No, you're not switching the wishbone this year, but it seemed like Matthew was moving much better this offseason and during training camp. Was there anything specific that you guys did to kind of work on his movement skills as he continues to age as a veteran quarterback?
I think he's done a great job. I think he's been able to really be more, active in the offseason than in previous years. And no matter how great you are, when you're able to work on your craft, you're going to get better at it. I think he's done an excellent job. I know he's played a little bit of tennis, and, he looks like Alcaraz and Djokovic out there and navigating the pocket. So I think he's had a great camp. I know he's really having fun out there, and I know that's when we're at our best. But he's done a great job of really, doing the work, Eric. And then there'll be certain things that we try to do to be able to, move the spot and move the launch point, as always is the case with our offense. And he certainly gives us the ability to do that.
And then one more quick one. Was there any consideration of carrying 3 quarterbacks with the new emergency quarterback rule?
Yeah, and that's something that, you still have the ability with possible flex ups and things like that. And so that is certainly something that we've discussed. And just because we don't have that reflected and illustrated right now doesn't mean that wouldn't always be the case, or we might even have 3 up on game day per some of the availabilities to flex up a practice squad guy.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Andrew Knoll.
Hi, Coach. Thanks for joining us today. I had 2 quick ones, if I may. The first one, this is the first time we've had a chance to talk since the Dotson trade. I know that's still very fresh, but can you talk about how you're looking to integrate him short term and then maybe long term as well? Obviously, a guy who had starters experience in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I've always loved his game. I think his toughness, his ability to be productive in both phases, both the run and the pass, his size, some of the ways that they played in Pittsburgh was something that made it a fun evaluation for us. He can play both the left and the right side. I thought he did a good job being able to play on the right side a little bit this preseason. And he's got a bunch of experience, as you alluded to. And so we haven't had a chance to get on the grass with him. Tomorrow will represent that first opportunity, but certainly adds, interior depth for us. I think with last year's experiences that we went through, you can't have enough depth at your offensive line. And that's where you see us carrying 10 guys on the initial roster. And I'm really looking forward to being able to have a better idea of, what does he look like in person? How does he learn? What are the things that he does best? But there was a lot of fun tape to evaluate that we feel like he certainly comes in and gives us an opportunity to upgrade the totality of our roster, particularly on the interior parts of the line. And I'm looking forward to getting to know him.
The receiver, it seemed like Kupp and Jefferson's spots were pretty secure coming into camp, but you guys brought in some veterans. Obviously, you drafted players in successive years, trying to get that receiver depth. How do you see that kind of wide receiver 3 and 4 position shaping up as far as the next group of guys who are going to get a good number of snaps?
Yeah, I feel really good about all 6 of the guys, and it's going to be a matter of, do we want to go 5? Do we want to go 6 on the active game day roster? And all those things are still up for grabs. But I think when you look at it, the 4 guys that you didn't mention, Tutu Atwell's had an excellent offseason, can really play all over the formation. Puka Nacua is a really mature rookie who has excellent hands at the point of contact, good aggressiveness, good toughness with and without the ball. Ben Skoranek is a guy that can play a bunch of different roles and responsibilities. As you guys saw last year, he'll be a special teams big-time contributor for us. And then DeMarcus Robinson, a guy that's got production in this league, can be able to play the X receiver, can do some different things in the slot if he wanted to, big catch radius, good ability to be able to separate at the line of scrimmage. So all 6 of those guys provide major factors for us. And it's been good getting Cooper back, feeling good. And I think Van's had an excellent last couple of weeks of practice, and he's hitting his stride at the right time, which is exactly what we want.
Thanks, Sean.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll do Bridget, then Sam.
Hi, Coach. I just had a question about all the young guys on your team. Is there someone specific now when you look at the 53-man roster that maybe we haven't talked about or has been overlooked that you're really excited about, and why?
Yeah, I think I could go through each position and kind of highlight a couple guys, but I think when you just look at our draft class in particular, I'm really excited about Steve Avila, Byron Young, Kobe Turner, Puka Nacua. Those are guys that come to mind as guys that we count on being immediate contributors for us, who have earned the right to be those types of immediate contributors. And it certainly isn't exclusive to those guys. I think Ethan Evans and Alex Ward, even when you're looking at rookie punter, rookie long snapper, have done a really good job. But those are the guys, those 4 that I mentioned are the guys that really, have kind of shown that they've earned a role. They've earned a right to be big-time factors right away. And we're hoping that that's just the start of what we're talking about with that class in particular.
Sam? Yeah, you're on mute, Sam.
Another okay boomer moment. Speaking of which, Sean, you addressed the Kelly Stafford comments, but generally speaking, is that a challenge, bridging that sort of generational chasm in a locker room? And how have you seen guys do that? Because over the years, we've seen lots of quarterbacks confront that.
Yeah. Well, here's what I would say, especially as it relates to Matthew, Sam. He's one of the most emotionally intelligent and authentically good people that I've been around. And so his ability to connect on a personal and a football level with guys, that comes really seamless to him. And so I think the best part about these locker rooms are you already have a similar common ground where everybody loves football. Those are the types of guys that we want to onboard. And then just the way that he carries himself in terms of the way he treats everybody with respect, the way that he's really intentional about trying to get to know people and ask those types of questions. And there's a reverence and a respect that he's earned because of what he's done in this league. And it's no different than really the reverence and respect they have for other guys that have, that have been veterans and that have performed at a high level because of the way they go about their work day in and day out. And so I think certain people just have a good feel for how to be able to do that. And Matthew has always struck me as one of those guys that I've heard Dan Orlovsky said, and I thought it was a great way to articulate it, Sam, is he's got a way of everybody in the room that's sitting with Matthew knows he's the man, but he's got such a humility that he blends in with the rest of the guys. And it's exactly what he's done with his teammates. It's exactly what he's done really from day one with the Rams organization. And if anybody that's been out there, if you're saying he's not enjoying and he's not connecting, then you haven't been watching the same things that I've been watching. And I think that's what comes really natural to him. And that's one of the coolest things of being around Matthew is I feel like I learned just watching the way he moves throughout the course of the day in terms of how you want to handle yourself in a manner that's reflective of elevating people and bringing people along with you.